Are you ready for the game changer in fake baking? We are going to make the most realistic piping using air dry foam clay. We're going to have a quick look at our equipment first, and then we're going to get into it, okay? So just some basic supplies. You can see we've got PVA glue, air dry foam clay. We've got our piping bag holder, bowls, a spatula, piping bag. It's a large piping bag, by the way, and a mixer with dough hooks on it. Because we're not trying to, and a peg. Can't forget the peg. We don't want to aerate our clay. We're just mixing our clay because when I first started doing this, I was doing it by hand and oh boy, it is hard yakka. So just to let you know, that bowl has got like the rubber base, and then these two are key because see how well I can hold that little bowl? And there is actually quite a fair bit of force when you're mixing the clay, and that one there I can just hold it. This one I cannot hold, but it's got the rubber base, so it's good on the tabletop. And because I'm going to make a fair bit of clay today, piping clay, I need the bigger bowl. So we're just going to take a nice big scoop of our air dry foam clay out. The consistency that you're looking for in your clay to start with is a soft clay. If your clay is rubbery, if your clay is hard or anything like that, it's not going to mix well. You don't want it that soft that it's like oozing between your fingers, but when you squish it, you want it nice and squishy. That makes great icing. So be careful of that. Like, you don't want to have to overmix it trying to mix in lumps, and you don't want lumps because if you're using a fine nozzle, those lumps are going to clog it and get in the way of your piping ability, okay? So we're going to make a well in the center, and we're going to put in a fair bit of PVA glue. And this is our binding, and this is what's going to loosen that clay up and allow us to pipe it. There will be 2 other videos to this with different consistencies. This is pipeable clay, and that's what all we're focusing on today. It's the pipeable. So I'm going in with the mixer with the dough hooks, and I'm just working the center first and just letting that glue start mixing with the clay and softening it down. You can sort of see the outside edges are still really, really firm. I'm just going to gradually keep picking those in, but you will hear your motor start working on your mixer, and that's what would have happened there. So I know straight away it needs more glue. And this is something people ask me for, a ratio. I cannot give you a ratio because clay consistency, quantity makes a big difference. And remember, your clay consistency can change because of your environment. So you take that into account. But if you've got soft, sticky clay, it's no good for rolling out and you want to be able to use it, then piping it is ideal. You can see I've just lifted the bowl up onto the side just to help me to mix that through. And as I'm getting those parts that are sort of elongating and starting to climb out of the bowl, I'm just really working the mixer over the top of those. And I'm starting to mix the whole bowl of clay, no longer just focusing on the center. Look at it. It's starting to look like marshmallow, right? Leave me a comment. Does that look like marshmallow or does that look like marshmallow? And if you think that looks amazing, you wait until you do a soft pig. And seriously, you are going to want, you'll have to use all your self-control not to lick the bowl. It looks so fantastic. We are going for a consistency right now like stiff meringue. Now, you've all heard the thing when you're baking stiff meringue, consistency should be able to hold the bowl upside down and it doesn't fall out. Well, we want this clay to hold peaks because when we pipe it, we get those beautiful ridges in our piping. We want that to hold and not to fall. So that's what we're looking for. That's the consistency. The easiest way to clean up the dough hooks, a little messy for some, but honestly, just twist those hooks, get that clay off. Look how clean they come off. No spatula will take it off that clean. And then just clean off your fingers, and there's very little residue left. Guess what? You're ready to start loading up a piping bag. We're almost there. Keep your patient pants on. We're almost there. We're a little bit to go. So we're going to get that large. Now, the reason I'm putting this in such a large piping bag is simply because I'm storing it. I've got a big project coming up and I need a fair bit of clay. Once it's in my big bag like that, I can just keep using that to top up the smaller bag, because if you were to try and pipe with that much clay in that bag, there is no way you'd be able to pipe that one-handed. And you need to be able to pipe one-handed. What is the key to that? Yes, it's the consistency. Can you see the way it's just sitting up as I'm filling up that bag? So it is, yes, it's the consistency, but it's also the quantity. Don't put too much in your bag. Now, I'm going to show you a little tip here to keep those bags clean. You can see I've put my hand in underneath. I'm holding it and I'm just sliding that bag up the top. See how clean that bag is? That's a trick in itself. I'm just going to push that down. It's not going all the way through to the nozzle because, well, not the nozzle, but the end of the piping bag, because we haven't cut it. So there's air trapped in there. This is the size I recommend. This is a small acrylic wine glass, and it holds around about 1 cup of mixture. That's just an approximate, guys. That is the best amount. Anything more than that starts getting very difficult to pipe. We've got a 1M nozzle on, which does give a pretty big pattern. It's all depending on what you're doing. But I tend to use 1Ms for the tops of cupcakes. When I'm doing borders around cakes and things, I find that's a fantastic size. You can see I'm just squishing that beautiful fake icing into that cup, going right down into the cup at first, and then just piling it on. I've got a little bit left there, but honestly, I do not want to overfill this bag. Same thing. Put your hand in underneath, hold on to the piping bag, take it out of the vessel and slip that outer bag over the top of your hand. Keeps the top of that bag nice and clean. Always a really good start when you start off with a nice, clean piping bag. Don't forget, guys, make sure you've liked this video. Leave me a comment. Is this a game changer? Now, look, like everything that you learn, it will take you a little while to get used to it. Or hey, you could be a master from the very first attempt, but you need to leave me a comment and let me know. Are you ready? Are you ready to do some piping? Let's go. So I've just got a piece of parchment on my table and I've just taped it down so that I can just show you these couple of strokes. Now, this is directly over the top, so you're not seeing the side of this patterning. This is what I always call my like front and back. So I'm rocking to the front and coming back, rocking to the front and coming back, and it leaves the most glorious side ruffle. It's beautiful. This is just a backwards and forwards. Also beautiful on the top of the cake. Now, if you do, when you finish piping, you get this little tiny piece that comes up, you can easily just pat that down with a wet, it has to be a wet paintbrush. Now, if you do pipe something, so that's a piped rose, if you do pipe it and you're not happy with it, this is the good thing about practicing on parchment. No waste, because you can scrape that up, put that back in your bag. So we take the cover bag off. We just put our bag back over the top of our wine glass, open it up, scrape off the part that you didn't like, close your bag up, and off you go again. Just squeezing it down. Sometimes you'll find if you squeeze down from the sides, that allows the air to pop out from the other side and you don't get air trapped in your bag. So there's a single, so we're just going to tap that down. And now you can go thicker with that and double that up. When you get that much excess on the nozzle, give it a quick wipe. There we go. There's a beautiful, nice, tall double rose. And again, just tap that down, neaten that up. Beautiful, right? Then you can just do some little drops, just letting the nozzle do the work. And again, if you do these and you're not really happy with them, scrape them up. So the practice is super important. This is your first step. Do some practicing, okay? And then just practice all the different designs that you can get from that nozzle. Practice with all different nozzles as well. Oops, hang on. We got stuck there. You can scrape them up. If you really love them, you can leave them dry on the parchment and then you can use them dried. But if you're just wanting to practice, scrape it up, put it back in the bag, Make sure you don't leave it out for too long, because once it starts getting a little bit of air to it, remember this is air dry foam clay. Once it starts getting air to it, it's going to get little crusty bits in it. Crusty bits are not your friend. They're not going to pipe well. So make that decision. Is this a practice session? Or is it also you're going to keep some of the ones that are really good? Make that decision. And again, you can see me just sort of squeezing that from the side. Just helps with those air bubbles. You always seem to get a little air pocket. But please try this, practice, let me know, leave me a comment and let me know, have you tried it? Have you practiced? Are you getting better? Is this a game changer? Are you absolutely stoked? I want to know what you think. And here we go. Want to do some more practicing? Get a clean sheet. Nothing is better than starting off with a clean sheet. And off you go again. Please have fun.